Rewind-A-Dynamite from the post-wrestling site. AEW, lighting up the fuse. Sit back and enjoy the bubbly as we hear from John and Waiting. Where we're going, we don't need roads. And if the buck stops here, this thing might blow. Everything you hear are opinions of the show. And if you don't like it, go to the forums and let them know.
And welcome to 2026. Here at Post Wrestling, we have made it. John Pollock and Wei Ting with you. Didn't think we would make it here Thursday at 1 o'clock. Wei and I hung over as all hell. I mean, a wild night that took us to, what was the last place we hit? Was it 5 a.m. or there was the after hours place?
Buffer zone.
That's right. That's right. There was the... Yeah, it was
the back alley where we met our favorite drug dealer, that we usually like to, hang
Timmy.
out with. Yes, of course. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a New Year's tradition for you and I.
It's always fun. You know what? Yeah. We do a few lines, we down some shots, and then we wake up and we don't know what postal code we're in.
Crazy.
It's been wild. I went to bed at 2 a.m. and I woke up at 7 a.m. That was my New Year's, everybody. Okay. So yeah.
I stayed up for the countdown, and my wife and I just watched a bit of Netflix. I passed out on the couch at like 1. I'm so pathetic, and I ended up like sleeping on the couch until like 4:30, when like I woke up with a terrible neck, had to drag myself up, and just slept a little bit more before.
What were you watching on Netflix?
Culinary Class Wars. Oh. It's like a Korean cooking show.
I would be into this.
I haven't
heard of it, but sounds intriguing.
Like I would say I'm obsessed with it, except like I can't even last like for an hour-long show anymore because I just fall asleep. I've fallen asleep halfway through every episode this season.
We need to re-energize you in 2026 way. I feel like you're operating at like very low testosterone levels, perhaps. I mean, look at you. You can't even keep a screen up.
Testosterone levels. How would you know about my?
I know
levels?
Everything. I had some blood work done on you when you were not. I contacted our guy.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. But you had a good New Year's Eve.
It was a pretty good New Year's Eve. We've now there's
Chinese food.
No, this has kind of replaced the Chinese food. My wife's not the biggest fan of the Chinese food tradition that I had cultivated for myself. But now for the last, this happened last year. There was this house party down the street where we just have ended up bringing our kids every year, and it's all these like families that get together, and not crazy dissimilar from your recent birthday party where it's like the kids go off and play and do their video games, and then the parents just drink, and that's how it goes. Now, me being alcohol free now,
straight edge, yes.
I felt like I was in high school. Like I had to turn down so many drinks, and the peer pressure was unbelievable at this New Year's Eve party. It was just like, come on, just have a drink. I'm like, I'm not playing this game at 41. I'm not drinking tonight. I'm just not. I
can't believe the other 40-something-year-olds were playing that game with you.
Well, it was they were being great hosts and such. And
what are you, a wuss?
Yeah, I was just like not going to. And then it's like, do you want a coffee? And I was like, coffee would be great at this time. I can't say no to a coffee. It's 10 p.m. You want some Baileys in the coffee? I'm like, I don't want Baileys in the coffee. Just give me black. I'll be fine. So
where were your NAs?
I had both of my NAs and I finished them.
And that was it. Okay.
That was my wild New Year. So I came home, and my kids both stayed up till midnight, which is a rare feat. So they both made it to midnight. They were absolutely out by 12:15, as was my wife. And I had this coffee. So I was fully awake at 12:15. So I figured I will, at 12:30, watch Dynamite. And that's what I did at 12:30. Went to sleep at 2. And then I just woke, no alarm, nothing. Just woke up at 7. And that's my day right there.
It sounds like a very typical.
Sounds really exciting. Sounds really fun. I'm sure everybody has a lot of Pollock envy on this Thursday afternoon. But we have a lot to get into.
A full night's sleep is very exciting these days.
Overrated. I mean, for you, I wish it upon you then some. I think you need to sleep for like 2 days straight. I think that's what you need.
I'll find some time this year.
I want to sleep less in 2026. If we could trade somehow, I would
want to sleep less. What do you mean?
I do. Inefficient sleep. I have beaten this drum for years. Everybody knows it. I'm fine on 5 hours of sleep. So why do I need 8?
I guess you are. Do you feel fine? Are you actually fine?
I'm totally fine.
Okay. Like
not everyone's going to be functioning on
You're
this.
You're on the Vince McMahon sleep calendar.
Unbelievable dissection of the Vince McMahon sleep discussion in the new Nattie Neidhart book. Maybe the best analysis of Vince McMahon I have read from someone. Nattie Neidhart. So?
Yes. Wow.
And I will not give all of it away. First of all, the book club is out now. I do believe, I told Neil this, I think it's our best one that we have done to date. This Nattie book kind of came out of nowhere, and it was one where you would think, okay, WWE talent, it's like, you'll get some interesting, entertaining stuff. I think she gives a really interesting portrait that at the end of it, you look at somebody that generally felt like I was a square peg in a round hole trying to fit in with this company when I was not the desired look. I was never the number one priority of this women's division. I just had to make shit work that came my way, whether it was as a valet, whether it was having to do like swimsuit contests in FCW, whether I had to literally fart as my character trait. She just had to make all this stuff work. And she comes in with all the history of the Hart family with Vince McMahon. Good and a lot of bad. And it's someone that I think gives quite a extensive analysis of Vince McMahon. Good and bad. She has both to say about McMahon. But there's a lot to this book. I would recommend this one.
Fascinating. Yeah. So yeah, you did tell me that this was at least your favorite or the one you think you and Neil have done the best. And I was not necessarily expecting that out of a Nattie Neidhart book, but you've certainly piqued my interest, especially for the Vince McMahon discussion. So that is available right now at Book Club, which is our Double and Espresso monthly exclusive, in addition to all of the, daily news updates at this point from John Pollock, Jack Wannon, and also Neil Flanagan.
But you can also join at the regular tier, and we want to discuss that now. This is a free show for everybody, so you can get a little sneak peek into what is coming up in the month of January. And we always say that now is a great time to join the Post Wrestling Cafe. And let's be honest, that's a bit of opinion. This month, it is factual. It is factually the best time to sign up for the Post Wrestling Cafe before February 1st. Because, it's beat the increase month at Post Wrestling.
Beat the increase, beat the activation. After this, basically, there's it's over. It's all over, okay? We are raising our prices by $2 whole, okay? From $6 to $8 starting February the 1st. Listen, everybody, don't blame us. Blame inflation, okay? Blame the world, all right? We're simply choosing to keep our price at least like what it was initially. Like, we haven't had a price increase in 8 years of existence.
Ever.
We're finally doing it now. So we're doing that February 1st. But even in doing so, I feel so bad about it that we are going to give everybody the chance to basically not increase their price for the rest of 2026. And that is, if you're currently signed on right now, or if you will sign on throughout the month of January, you get to keep your $6 a month rate for the entire year in 2026. That also goes for our annual subscribers, who can also enjoy an extra 10% discount even on top of that if you choose to sign up for the whole year starting from this point, all throughout the month of January.
So sign up for the annual increase. You save the most. If you just want a monthly subscription, sign up before February 1st. That price will be locked in for a year before you'll experience the increase a year from now. So we're trying to make it as fair.
We're basically not giving ourselves a raise for an entire year. For most of you that are going to be subscribed.
So we're here to work for the people. And for those that do jump on board, we have a big month ahead. Going in order here, this weekend, we will have double coverage of Wrestle Kingdom 20. Wei and I will do a review on the Café, and then the free feed, we'll get to hear Bruce Lord and Karen Peterson. So all different perspectives covering what is a very, very big show coming up Sunday at the Tokyo Dome. The next Rewind-A-Way is going to be a special watch-along edition with none other than Brandon from New Jersey, jumping from our private messages onto the screen for a watch-along of not one, but 2 Royal Rumble matches. We will watch the 1990 Royal Rumble match, and then the abbreviated 1995 Rumble match, which was the very quick interval. So that's a much quicker watch than most Rumble matches. So we will watch both of those. We're also going to be doing another retrospective this month on Rewind-A-Way, looking at some of the most famous matches involving Hiroshi Tanahashi and Kazuchika Okada. We're going to do a bonus Impact review, Wei and I, when Impact debuts on AMC. And of course, the best and worst of 2025 that will be going out live on January the 12th, Monday, January the 12th. You can circle that on your calendar. Braden Harrington, Davey Portman, and the two of us going through all the categories and making our selections as we wave goodbye to 2025.
Yeah. And of course, our usual bonuses here in Collision Course every single week with Kate from Montreal and a roster of wonderful guests. TNA Genesis review with John and Jack, maybe?
Yes.
Okay. Post Pro Res with Karen and WH. Our UFC 324 review. MCU later, talking about The Punisher from 1989 and a whole lot more. PostWrestlingCafe.com.
Yes, and you never know what shows might pop up, whether it's a interview with Dave Meltzer. You can never predict what shows might just pop up in the month of January.
Up there right now. Yeah.
There you go. Major wrestling stories of 2025 with Dave Meltzer. That is now up for everybody. We put it up earlier this week for Café members, and now it is out into the world. So wonderful.
Great job. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well. Well, we have Noah kicking off the year, and that's where we're going to start off on the news, because today they held their event at Nippon Budokan in front of 6,278. So this was their best number for in 3 years. You have to go back to the Nakamura year where he came in to work Keiji Muto. Last year's Noah the New Year card did 5,088. So we're talking a 23% increase this year for their kickoff event to the year. And it was Walker Stewart, Mark Pickering, and Mike Schroeder on English commentary. And I'll just go briefly through some of the undercard matches. I did get to see this card this morning. These are the benefits of getting up at 7 a.m. and nobody else is awake. We had Daga and Daiki Odashima. And this was a show very much focused on Daiki Odashima, who's their 24-year-old rising star. He is one of the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Champions with Daga, and they defended against Shuji Kondo and Ada and Alejandro and Kai Fujimura. It went 7 minutes, 44 seconds, a lot of big flying spots in all of this, but the focus was all on Odashima, and he would absorb these double knee strikes. Fujimura then missed, super kicking his partner Alejandro, and Odashima pinned Alejandro after this delayed German suplex as they retain their tag titles. And we had Alejandro and Kai Fujimura, who are not just partners, they're also brothers, at odds here because of the errant super kick. So we may be having a fracturing within the family. Not the only family that is fractured on this show. More to come. Kazuki Fujita, Minoru Suzuki, Shuhei Taniguchi, and Junta Miyawaki taking on Team 2000X's Masa Kitamiya, Takashi Sugiura, Tadasuke, and Jun Masaoka. Fujita and Suzuki just could not get along at the beginning. They couldn't agree on who would start, and then Fujita would refuse to tag him in as our the two gentlemen with a combined age of 112, I believe, between Minoru Suzuki and Fujita. But then eventually they would work together on Kitamiya together. It was a wonderful bonding moment involving two grandfathers. Suzuki and Sugiura go at it as they're citing the history with those two. And then Masa Kitamiya hits a pile driver to Miyawaki, but lifts him up on the cover just to apply the stranglehold Gamma in 6 minutes, 47 seconds. This was probably the weakest match on the show, but an 8-man heavy push for Masa Kitamiya, and we would see him later in the show. Will Cruz, who I don't know how many people are familiar with him. He is the Progress Atlas champion, and he was coming here to defend the title against Saxon Huxley, and he's been working with Noah of late. This dude is he's 300 pounds. He wears a singlet that would be out of Big Daddy's wardrobe, and he's got a mullet that is prime, Crush Bryan Adams level from 1993. But imagine Crush was over 300 pounds. He's just an enormous human being. And then he does all these flying spots. And this, he was taking on Saxon Huxley, formerly of NXT UK, but has been here for a long time. Cruz hits a a Dr. Bomb immediately. They go to the top turnbuckle. This dude hits a one-man Spanish fly, and this crowd is just in awe of watching this guy. Hits a Liger bomb, then he's hitting cannonballs, misses a top rope moonsault, and then Huxley ends up hitting the Kawada-style elbow off the top and a sky high for the win in 8 minutes and 7 seconds. First of all, there's always the discussion about, we're discussing like injuries, and certainly there was nothing super dangerous in this match, but this was a match all built around big moves by this big guy, and it totally got him over. Like, this is probably like the most spotlight this guy has had in his career, and he was fantastic here. Saxon Huxley has Manabu Soya in his corner. Dude, Manabu Soya was watching this man hold up the Progress Atlas title. He's in tears. He's crying for his teammate here that has won the Progress Atlas title. This was quite the presentation to watch, this 9 minutes. And folks, buy some futures on Will Cruz, okay? I think this guy he's out of another era, but he's doing all like modern high-flying cruiserweight stuff. It was, I love this match. It was tremendous.
Cruiserweight.
Yes. What was the term really that JBL gave on AAA? That he called Nino Hamburguesa. It'll come to me. Kenta, Yuka Sasaki, Tetsuya Endo, and Hayata came out, and they were taking on Atsushi Katoge, Muhammad Yone, Hajime Ohara, and Hiroki. And Kenta and his team come out, and they reveal their new white and black shirts. They are forming a unit way. The White Raven Squad. Okay. I don't know about this name. The White Raven Squad.
It's fine.
All right.
It sounds no real opinion on it.
Okay. Well,
you don't like it.
It's an odd name. Maybe it'll grow on me. But I mean, the contrast here, it's like, here is the group in white to oppose Team 2000X, which I think this will be our big group versus group rivalry in 2026. But they do not want to be aligned with Noah. They are their own group here, led by Kenta. This was a really short match. Kenta hit a double stomp to Hiroki. The save gets made, and then it's Tetsuya Endo with his Endo special to the floor, and Kenta hits the GTS on Hiroki in 6 minutes, 52 seconds. Not a whole lot to this one. Brother versus brother. Dragon Bane against Alpha Wolf for the GHC national title. Former partners, still brothers, and they're going to fight for the national championship here. So this match went through waves. They did like lucha work early. Then Alpha Wolf was not above like biting his brother, and Bane takes mercy when Alpha Wolf collapses in front of him, but then just fires off a lariat. And then we see a series of flying knees on a Poison Rana by Dragon Bane. He survives the Wolf Driver and hits the Santa Maria, which is his made in Japan. Yoshitatsu appears and distracts Dragon Bane, and Alpha Wolf low blows his own brother behind the ref's back, puts up the X to signal that he is joining Team 2000X as he hits the Wolf Driver, pinning Dragon Bane to win the national title. They anoint Alpha Wolf the newest member of Team 2000X. They give him a new mask that has an X over top of it. Man, hit his brother right in the balls, beats him for the title, and then joins the evil faction here. So this will probably be a feud that continues.
Okay.
Familial angst for the new year. Kaito Kiyomiya and Jack Morris, not the pitcher, taking on Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows, who have found their way into Pro Wrestling Noah in 2026. Actually, like this was probably not the most ideal opponents if you're fans of Kiyomiya and Jack Morris, but it's a perfectly fine tag match, especially like Carl Anderson knows how to work like a perfectly competent match. I wouldn't say this ever got to like great levels, but there was really nothing wrong with it. They tried to go for the Magic Killer to Jack Morris, but it's stopped by Kiyomiya. And then Morris hit this Tiger Driver right into a Shining Wizard by Kiyomiya, and Gallows is in for the save. And Morris just ran so hard into the corner, bounced out into a gun stun, and Kiyomiya saved. That was a very nice sequence. And it's Gallows with a sit-out powerbomb to Kiyomiya, and as they get rid of him, they hit the Magic Killer, pinning Jack Morris in 11 minutes and 50 seconds. So it would certainly suggest that Anderson and Gallows will be part of this Noah tag scene in the new year, and putting them over like two of their higher baby faces on the roster in Kiyomiya and Jack Morris. And then to the big matches, the final 3 here. So it's now Michi Marufuji and Kenoh defending the GHC tag titles against Bushi and a mystery partner. This was as much of a CM Punk as Noah could pull off. Like, who could Bushi's partner be? It's either going to be the obvious one or it's going to be the ultimate letdown on this show if it's anyone but Naito.
Look at the damn silhouette here.
I mean, they were not trying. They were not being subtle. And
Who's
Kenoh
got hair shaped like like a broomstick bottom with a perfectly molded, brimmed, 5-panel top.
Well, Kenoh was not as convinced as you were of who this was going to be. And all the rumors were this was going to be Naito. So you know what Detective Kenoh did? He tracked down Naito's 71-year-old father to question him if his son was going to be the partner. And I guess he did not get a satisfactory answer. But that was Kenoh's strategy here. Obviously, they did not prepare enough. So first of all, they have a guy come out that everyone is believing is Naito, even though this guy was walking way too smoothly to be Naito. These were not Naito knees walking to the ring, and takes off the mask. It's not him. It's a student of theirs. And then the real Naito comes out, and this is Tetsuya Naito, who looked like he was not forgoing celebrating on New Year's before he came out. This guy looks like a man that's he's walked some miles. Is all I'm going to say. Comes out, super pop. Everyone goes nuts for Naito here. And so he works the match as he spits into Naomichi Marufuji's face, not 1, but 3 times. Kenoh would then mock Naito by opening up his eyes right in front of Naito, asking him if he can see now. They hit the professional foot stomp to Bushi, and Naito's in for the save. And then there's a Shiranui stopped by Bushi into a backslide, and then there's a schoolboy by Bushi as he mists Marufuji right in the face and pins him in 13 minutes and 15 seconds. So Naito and Bushi win the tag titles in their first night in Noah, and their student rejoins them. They do a group fisting. And what was interesting about this match was fine. Naito was very, very over, and it will be interesting to see his impact if he has some in Noah. He should certainly, at least out of the gate, in a fresh setting. But this match, they do the LIJ fist in the middle. The very next match features Hiromu Takahashi, and there was no interaction between Naito and Hiromu on this show. But that takes us to the semifinal, which was Amakusa challenging Hiromu for the GHC Junior Heavyweight title. Awesome match. This, I thought, was the match of the show. Hiromu, if you have not followed his Noah run, what a revitalization of Hiromu. When he has not stood out to me in the least in New Japan for some time. And here in Noah, he has been just outstanding. And this match was just, it was the end of his title reign. They went 17 minutes and 25 seconds. And man, Amakusa was just kicking out of everything to the point that you thought Hiromu was going to keep this title at the end. He kicked out of the time bomb. He kicked out of a time bomb off the turnbuckle. He kicked out of a time bomb too. And then finally hits him with skull to skull headbutt on the buckle. Does a Shiranui, and then the running knees followed by a Phoenix Splash, pinning Hiromu. This would certainly be my most recommended match on the show. And then afterwards, Amakusa is celebrating with the belt, and out comes young Daiki Odashima to challenge Amakusa. So you can see how much they're focusing on Odashima as a major role, a big role for him in 2026. And the main event, Yoshiki Inamura and Ozawa for the GHC heavyweight title. Ozawa has charisma that is just out of this world. He comes out, he's got his crutch playing off the injury he sustained back in the N1, and he had only come back. He only had his first match back about a week ago, and constantly throughout the match, he's limping and just it's mind games to try and get in the head of Inamura that he's still hurt when he's fine. You did have Team 2000X involvement here on the floor. Ozawa used Christmas decorations at ringside as weapons. He also had his walking boot that he used as a weapon, and as well as the crutch as well. So Team 2000X come in after a ref bump. So their newest member, Alpha Wolf, is getting involved. So that prompts Dragon Bane to come out. They try to go after his mask, but Inamura stops it. He hits a big Muso and goes for his discharge, which is his slingshot splash off the top, but lands on the knees. Ozawa tries his own discharge, but hits a 450 splash, and then Inamura makes the big comeback, spins him off the shoulders, and wins with the discharge in 21 minutes and 17 seconds. There's something about some of these maneuvers between Yota Tsuji's Gene Blaster and Inamura's discharge. I mean, there's a theme here for some of these baby faces and how they win. Good main event. Like there was plenty of interference and such. I wouldn't say this got to like an epic level, this title match. It was sort of just, it was a solidifying win for Inamura that cements him as like literally, Stuart Fulton says he will not be a transitional champion. That's the call at the end of this, because he had just won the belt not too long ago. So he beats Ozawa. I think Ozawa will eventually get another run with this. But then Inamura names Kenoh as his next challenger. And the way he set this up was, my next challenger will be Mr. Kenoh. I thought for a second we would get Ken Kennedy coming out, but no. Kenoh comes out, but he is attacked by Masa Kitamiya, who he wants the shot. And he gets into the ring and he tells Inamura he cannot name his next challenger. And Inamura asks him, well, what do you want? And Kitamiya just says, I want you, asshole. And therefore, Inamura will take on everybody. And that's how things ended. So an entertaining show overall. I would certainly recommend the junior heavyweight title match. And by God, get familiar with Will Cruz, okay? This is the guy to put all your futures on, okay, in 2026. This guy's going to be an interesting guy to watch in the new year. But they set up a lot with Daiki Odashima. This whole White Raven squad is obviously going to get a major focus in the new year, probably feuding with Team 2000X, and this Dragon Bane Alpha Wolf feud that they are going to continue as well. And you had, like their tag division, you've got Naito and Bushi with the tag titles now. Obviously, Anderson and Gallows will be coming back, put them over really strong with Kiyomiya and Jack Morris. So that was sort of a snapshot into Noah. But the big news to me would have been like what they drew here at Budokan Hall, like 6,200 people they attracted for this show. And this comes after Stardom just did a great number for their card on December 30th or December 29th. A lot of these big shows, of course, Wrestle Kingdom, but there's a lot of big shows happening in Japan this week, and they're doing very, very well. I did see the Saya Kamitani Saori Anou match from the main event of the Dream Queendom show the other night, and this main event was awesome. I thought that Saya Kamitani she is a fantastic heel, and Saori Anou wrestled like the match of her life. She was so incredible in this match. It was so physical, and just the speed at which Anou worked throughout this match. They had these electric slap exchanges where they were just going so hard at one another. She kicked out of all of these Star Crushers before finally falling to one at the end after a Kamigoye and a Star Crusher. But I thought this match was just outstanding. I watched I saw the last two matches on the show, so I haven't seen the whole card. But the main event to me was just phenomenal. So, Saya Kamitani, you can certainly see, like, I don't know if there is a recent, like, award that has so propelled a performer, but I think Saya Kamitani, like in Stardom, she's been the focus all year, but I think this is really going to expand because of this award and on Sunday as well, where she's going to have the match with Shuri. And I do think it's going to add a lot of spotlight to her. And I think it's a very smart move to keep the belt on her. She won this a year ago, and I think she is still she is the heel that they are building the whole company around. And this was Saori Anou kind of trying to avenge Tam Nakano and her career ending at the hands of Kamitani earlier this year.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of heightened discussion surrounding her coming off of the Tokyo Sports Awards, and also like a lot of people's end of years lists. You know, maybe somebody just kind of coming around to the Tam Nakano feud at this point in time, maybe catching really a little bit of stardom on this side of the world when there's already so much for people to catch up with. So you can expect 2026 to be a massive year for her.
So we had a bunch of injuries that have all gone down. We learned that Sheamus went under shoulder surgery on Tuesday, so he's going to be out for a while. Michin was pulled from the WWE's holiday tour with Fightful reporting shoulder injury. As we'll get to on Dynamite, we had Luchasaurus, who it was very evident at the pay-per-view that obviously there's some issue with Luchasaurus, and They effectively wrote him off on Wednesday night's show, another shoulder injury. We just had Penta coming back from a shoulder injury. Dominic's out with a shoulder injury. So yeah, it's a lot of shoulder injuries at the moment.
It's a bad month for his shoulders. What more can we say? Should we limit shoulder bumps? Is this the new talking point that we should be engaging in?
I think that some of that burden needs to be
Seth Rollins, of course, as well.
Yeah, Seth Rollins too, as well. So yeah, I don't know if people are gonna have theories about this or if this is just a lot of coincidences.
It sounds like wear and tear. Like how do you avoid the shoulder? It's not like a head drop or something.
The question for Michin is she's supposed to have that match with Jade Cargill on Friday, and you would think that would be at least tenuous at this point, that she'd be back as quick as tomorrow. But I mean, we don't know the extent of the injury as well. And then tonight, Impact will air. It's another tape show, but it has Frankie Kazarian, Bear Bronson for the TNA title, the Angel Warriors against the Elegance brand non-title match. Mustafa Ali takes on the Hometown Man. Tessa Blanchard, Victoria Crawford, and Mila Moore against Indy Hartwell, Jody Threat, and Jada Stone. And we'll get segments with The Righteous and The System. And of course, Friday night, 3 hours of SmackDown. It's the ambulance match between Damian Priest and Aleister Black, and the Kabuki Warriors teaming with Nia Jax and Lash Legend against Rhea, Io Sky, Charlotte Flair, and Alexa Bliss, and maybe Jade Cargill and Michin, which was set up last week. So that's happening in Buffalo. 3 hours of SmackDown. What will they fill the 3 hours with? Tune in Friday night.
Yes, we will. That's the start of
how long is this ambulance match going to go?
At least 12, maybe.
12?
12, sure.
I think in this era, whatever you think it's going to go, double it.
Perhaps.
That's my rule. All right, everybody. All your news can be found at postwrestling.com. And, of course, daily audio news updates for our Double Double and Espresso members up on the Café. But going live on Wednesday night was AEW with New Year's Smash coming out of the World's End pay-per-view. WrestleTix announced 2,238 tickets distributed at the Liberty First Credit Union Arena in Omaha, Nebraska. And 2,200 people, but man, did this crowd, they came to have a great time at this show. I mean, they sounded like a solid crowd throughout most of this show. They recapped World's End, and MJF arrives at the building, comes out to the ring, and refers to Samoa Joe, Swerve, and Hangman. They're the big three, right? But I'm the champion, so fuck the big three. It's just me.
Big me.
Yes. And he reveals his new Triple B. And he unveils the title, and he says, you can either step up or get stepped on if you think you're on my level. He's done slow trotting so all the donkeys can keep up in the back. He's going to sprint from now until he passes the finish line as the greatest of all time. And then we got like 6 months of programs just set up for MJF in the next 5 minutes, beginning with Kenny Omega, who appears on the screen and it acknowledges he's closer to the end of his career than the beginning, but is asking himself, what if I can become champion again? What would happen if you and I met today? I'm not the belt collector. All I'm going for is one belt. And you're going to see a lot more of me in 2026, whether I get an immediate title shot or if I have to claw and scrape for one. MJF says he wasn't even man enough.
Where is Kenny? Is this his living room?
I
or
guess
dining
so.
Room?
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
I'm guessing.
He just always maybe this looks like he's about to host people for his New Year's Eve party. Otherwise, why would you wear a suit in your own house like this?
This promo should have been mid-party.
Sure. Yeah, he's not showing up to Dynamite. He's just, he's got guests.
It's just a casual conversation among friends, and he starts talking about the title.
Yes.
So MJF is pissed. He's like, you didn't even say that to my face. So Hangman and Swerve arrive through the crowd, and they go through security. MJF says wins and losses matter. You are both losers, so you're going to have to pick up some wins and work your way back to a title shot. So MJF hightails it through the crowd as Paige and Swerve destroy security. I could watch these guys, whether it's the dojo students or security. These two destroying the Putty Patrol every week is never dull. They have this down to a art where they use the chain, they do the double team buckshot, house call, power bombs. It was just, I loved watching this.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun as a tag team with tag team offense, as people are prone to break out into when in these sort of settings. Yeah.
Paige warns MJF that when he gets him, he will strangle him with that belt. Swerve says that he's only showing him a piece and he wants the belt too, and says, "May the worst men win." And then Joe appears on the screen with Hobbs and Hook, calling them buffoons. He is the number one contender because he was robbed at World's End, and says that he will beat down Paige, choke him out on sight. Hobbs is coming for Swerve and challenges them all, and this leads to Swerve opting for a lights out tag match next week, which we will get with Hangman and Swerve against Hobbs and Hook next week in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. I felt overall like a pretty decent segment here. The big focus, of course, being Kenny Omega's return here to being back in the title picture, and you would assume singles matches, which we haven't really had exactly a whole lot of in recent months since his big comeback. So very interesting to, again, continue to gauge the health of a Kenny Omega and his capacity to be able to deliver on a title level match. And especially, I would say, since we have a new challenger to be excited for, I kind of felt like the segment tonight made these other three who came up short in the title match at World's End kind of feel like they're fighting in a bronze medal game. And it didn't necessarily make me as interested to see really any of these three go for the championship again, because I'm kind of more interested in the Kenny Omega match. And that, to me, is kind of part of the problem with the multi-person feud, is that the grudges don't necessarily feel very personal and they get kind of watered down. But of course, all that can change with further storytelling that they might engage in.
Yeah, like you have the Bandido match in 2 weeks. There's the Grand Slam Australia next month that you would think that's a pretty big one to build towards. And then you've got Revolution, but we're over 2 months away from that. So, I mean, they have laid out a lot here. It's the question of like, what is the biggest match you want to build towards for, I would say, like Revolution, for instance, and what are going to be the other obstacles ahead for MJF. But they set up a lot here, but it does feel like Swerve and Hangman are kind of in a keep these guys busy and distracted away from the title, and establishing too, they are going to have to work their way back to get to the title. So Kenny feels like the more prominent one, although they also listed there, like he too has to win some matches. Like I could see that being held off till March. Like that's a pretty big match to go with if you want to hold off on that.
That's a long time to hold off.
It's a very long time.
Yeah.
I mean, they could do that in Australia. That's one option. Orange Cassidy, Roderick Strong, and Timeless Toni Storm. Oh, first we go backstage. Renee is with Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, Strong, and they cut a promo. Willow's going to win the TBS title. Mark Briscoe even mentioning Ted Turner wanting to conglomerate. And the word of the day is asphyxiation, because the Death Riders will be choking on these nuts tonight.
Asphyxiation.
Asphyxiation?
Yeah, isn't that the word?
Yeah, you might. AS. Okay. Timeless Toni Storm waltzes in, telling Cassidy that he has sweet moves for someone so acidic. And so we have Mina Shirakawa very jealous here, and Strong wants no part of this. So this continues our mixed nuts division.
Yeah, I love this continuation of this Toni Storm Orange Cassidy relationship. I kind of feel like Toni Storm is the perfect over-the-top personality for somebody as deadpan as Orange Cassidy to play off of. Like, not only are they like two of AEW's most iconic sort of pure characters, I think they seem like a perfect fit in personality. And having Mina play jealous lover is just a great way to add an extra dimension to it all. You always need a bit of tension. You always need a bit of like, love triangling before, two people can really get together. And it gives Mina a fresh character direction, and maybe even sets up a future turn between Mina and Toni Storm.
Yes. Maybe you could, like in story, Juice Robinson has no connection to Timeless Toni Storm, correct?
No, well, they did make mention of that. Like somebody in their promo called him.
It's been brought
Mr.
up,
Toni
yeah.
Storm.
But it kind of feels like it's the Roderick Marina deal as well.
Yeah, they're not recognized. Maybe the explanation is that like Toni Storm, like she's legally married to Juice Robinson. Maybe off air she is like just her normal self, right? But once she gets into like she's got something in her head that just makes her completely forget about her other life.
All I'm trying to develop is the feud of the year, Orange Juice.
Yeah, 100%. It has to happen.
I think that you work backwards from something clever like that, and then you make the rest figure itself out.
You start with the pun and then see how we can get there. Yeah,
that's how I would work. So it's Cassidy, Roderick, and Toni Storm against Claudio, Daniel Garcia, and Marina Shafir. And while I don't think this was quite at the level of the pay-per-view, this was such a fun match, and I think that like you have six like. These six just gel really well. The strength of this act is Orange Cassidy and Timeless Toni Storm, and to a degree Claudio as well, who I think is just all in on this. And you even did the tease of Toni trying to do the giant swing onto Claudio and then gets booted by Daniel Garcia, which got so much heat when not that he just struck a woman in the face with his boot, but they deprived them of seeing the giant swing. So Omaha was very upset. Of course, he did the Orange Tony waltz spot, including a double hip toss to Claudio. Strong and Shafir, they were able to play off that, including Roderick giving Shafir a big backbreaker after teasing that and then delivering it later. It's a stun dog to Claudio, hip attack by Toni onto Claudio, and then this incredible satellite DDT. But then Yuta prevents the orange punch, and with the distraction, Claudio hits a pop-up European, pinning Cassidy in 9 minutes and 38 seconds. But a really entertaining six-person tag, and I think stumbling into something really great coming out of World's End that you don't have to do this every week, but there's certainly an appetite for this type of stuff that AEW has not been doing. And you have found something, I think, in Toni Storm and Orange Cassidy that you can develop.
Big time, yeah. I thought it was a great idea to redo this one on television, just coming off of it, off of the pay-per-view. I thought like both matches were really fun, and this one just felt different enough to justify it it taking place so soon after the Saturday one. I think the vibe of these matches are really the perfect calling card for a more casual, like TV-only AEW viewer. It's a great showcase of your AEW original characters. I think the action is also of a high AEW standard. And it's also something that WWE is not going to be doing at this level. I mean, they do intergender, but they really keep a strict barricade between men's interactions and women's interactions, at least to a lesser extent than you saw here, where you saw Roderick Strong deliver a backbreaker to his wife in real life, not in story. Again, like there's male on female violence, but I don't think they ever verge into territory that'll make the average viewer, more importantly, advertisers, uncomfortable. So instead, like you're kind of left with, I think, what is one of the biggest selling points of intergender wrestling is that it's empowering for women. You know, the women here, especially Marina Shafir, are presented as somebody equally as powerful as the men, able to compete with the men, just like in comics, really, and like many other sort of like fictions. And it created a very entertaining match as a result.
Now, we, unfortunately, despite being in Canada, couldn't watch this on TSN. I would have loved to have known if they still had the same crowd cutaways. Do you remember back in the day on Raw when they got the most painfully these crowd shots that were just so not fake looking, but it was just like the editing was terrible that they would just superimpose over top any male on female violence, which happened at quite a high clip in the late 90s, early 2000s.
And all you're left with is like commentary, like it'd be Jerry Lawler and King like talking about, oh my God. And then like all you were seeing is like sweeping pan shots of like crowd signs and all that. It just left a lot to the imagination.
All right, the show continues. Mina Shirakawa and Luther come down, and as Toni is checking on Orange, so we have a jealous Mina Shirakawa.
Love it.
Great video with Mercedes Moné. I elevate every era and title that I'm attached to. I'm not chasing history anymore because I am it. She owns the game. I'm the blueprint. I'm the ceiling and the greatest TBS champion of all time. So if you weren't aware of the results, you were certainly getting hints of, oh boy, this is and this was, they announced right off the top, this is the main event as well for the show. Bandido and Beast Mortos. Sammy Guevara is in the corner. Of course, Bandido's getting the title shot in 2 weeks, so this was kind of a showcase for him with a great opponent to do so. And they go through a picture-in-picture. Bandido was playing Matador for Mortos and puts on his cape to hit a high cross to the floor, which somehow, if you can put on a cape, it's always going to add. It's always going to add to
it just looks
the high spot.
Cooler, okay? That's all the justification somebody needs sometimes.
He did a multiple revolution tilt-a-whirl head scissors, frog splash for a 2 count, and then gets caught with a pop-up Samoan by Mortos. backbreaker, discus lariat, but then Mortos misses off the top, gets caught with the X-knee 21 plex in 9 minutes, 56 seconds. And they were interviewed by, Bandido was interviewed by Renee backstage. And so Bandido cuts his whole promo in Spanish. And unlike Raw, there's a teammate to cut the whole promo in English. And that is Brody King's function here. But he mentions the fact he will be Bandido 2 belts. And once Bandido wins the title, I'm first in line. So that was an interesting line in this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I personally really like it because it continues to, well, first of all, the dynamic works because you have somebody who can like cut a deeper English promo on Bandido's behalf, which is I think important really at the level. But in having Bandido continue to say that, hey, like I'm only helping my friend for now, but afterwards I'm next in line, it continues to keep Brody King as a serious competitor and not just as like a second for Bandido. Like I thought the match was also a really great showcase for Bandido here. If you're trying to put Bandido next in line for a world championship match, well, who better to showcase him with on free TV than one of his best opponents in Beast Mortos? So, like for me, I continue to think like boosting the personality profile of a Bandido is probably the most important thing you can do for him right now, in addition to giving him great in-ring time. And I thought this promo was good for that. Certainly a feud against MJF, you would expect like a deeper level of storytelling and certainly promo time. So I'm expecting Abuela to be packing her bags and getting on a flight shortly.
She has to be in Phoenix on January 14th. Yeah. Any chance that this was the backdrop for this promo? Was this a corner of the building or was this in a shower?
Are there showers this large? Yeah, of course there are. This looked like the dressing room, with just a light splash.
Very tile heavy. I was just trying to make sense of this.
There was probably a shower on the other side, perhaps. Yeah.
Lee Johnson versus Brody King.
Mm-hmm.
Guess how this one ended? Well, Brody comes out and he murdered this guy. For what it was worth, in 52 seconds, they tried to give Lee Johnson as much as he could by just being so goddamn quick. But then finally, he's caught with a lariat, cannonball, gonzo bomb, and Brody King wins. And Lee Johnson heads back to Ring of Honor.
I've seen Brody King in so many like tag team matches and as a babyface in like so many, I would say, more competitive matches that you often forget that he's a monster himself. And if he was a debuting heel, he would be booked in only these sort of like squash matches. So it was kind of nice to get that reminder here that this is just a really powerful man who can just completely annihilate an opponent like a Lee Johnson whenever he wants to. So I do wonder how big of a role, like the fact that he got a singles match showcase here, I don't think is unintentional. So how committed are they to actually doing Bandido versus Brody King coming off of this? And does that signal an actual title win from Bandido over MJF, or could it be over like the ROH championship?
That's what I was thinking, is that they're hinting at this match. And I think now that you've introduced it, it's a match people probably were not thinking of getting. And I think would love to see this match. And I think for the ROH title, I think that's a perfectly serviceable like title match that you could do at a big show for ROH at some point this year.
And you don't have to split the group. Could, just be a friendly war type of thing.
Next was Darby Allin's latest art project. This one went much better than the one we saw at World's End with a dying animal. He says he went to hell with Gabe Kidd, and he is not numb to the pain, and he is more aware of it than anyone. I see the arguments against the way I live my life, but I wish I could relay the beauty that gives me peace. He mentions climbing Mount Everest in 2025, and this year, I want to stand on top of AEW, and I need to finish the Death Riders, and I've beaten them all except for Pac. And he tells Pac, I need this.
I don't know if you felt it, but this felt like a promo responding to at least some of the conversation coming off of the weekend and William Regal's tweet, man.
I have no connection to this at all.
But for Darby, at least, like, I mean, this is sort of a running talking point, in like, especially attached to him. Just, people overly critical or maybe justifiably critical about the amount of risk this guy takes.
Darby is probably the first example people are going to go to of somebody that if you are expecting somebody to be in a wheelchair one day or have very little great quality of life into their 50s and 60s, he's probably your first example that
he's
you're going
this
to
generation's poster child for that sort of like Cactus Jack, Jeff Hardy type of like risk taking. And I thought this retort was, I mean, if you want to consider it that, I thought it was like very well poetically stated. Like he says he takes the risk, he engages in the violence because it gives him peace. Okay, a mental peace. Which, listen, it's kind of ambiguous. It's hard for maybe all of us to understand, but you can tell it makes complete sense to him, right? Of course, William Regal would probably urge him, hey, like, I know it gives you peace in the present, but maybe sacrifice a bit of that peace in the present for peace in your 50s or 60s when you might not be able to walk straight anymore. But, you know, that's a separate conversation. So I actually really like this about Darby. Of all, like, these, you know, AEW originals, like, he and MJF obviously are very complete, but I would even, like, on some level, really admire Darby's, like, completeness of character and understanding of his character that much more, because it's probably just him.
Yeah, I was hoping this promo would go a little deeper of I wish people could understand how much money I'm making right now, and I'm investing really wisely. I'm going to be really taken care of in my 50s and 60s.
I'd love to know what's in his portfolio.
I'm building a nest egg. Yeah. I've got GICs.
Yeah. Well, I wonder what his Robin Hood account looks like.
The only thing worse than the compounding pain I'm experiencing is the compound interest that I see on a daily basis.
He knows all about inflation, I'm sure. Yeah,
I'm sure he does. You do get the sense like that is like him winning this AEW title is like a long-term story for AEW at some point.
You think? Yeah, you would think so. I of course it is. Of course it is. Like he's destined for it. But like, is it going to be this year? I can't really tell you for sure, John, because like
this guy would not be a 5-year plan type of performer if I was booking.
Well, I guess my only question is like, what else is he going to be wanting to do out of professional wrestling, right? Like,
there could be a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah, and what is
he might say, I want to swim like the Atlantic Ocean. And that could
in the winter
curb plans. Yeah.
Sure.
So you just gotta be on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
John Moxley, Josh Alexander, talk about being on the same pages. Eliminator bout here. Renee is still in her analyst role at ringside. And of course, this is continental rules. So no interference and a 20-minute time limit. If Alexander lasts the time limit or wins, he gets a future title match.
They've added that as a new wrinkle for this, I guess, current run of the Continental Championship. So
yes.
I love the idea. I mean, it basically suggests that, okay, for these eliminator matches, you don't have to beat the person, beat the champion, and ruin their credibility in order to just get a title shot afterwards. You simply have to last long enough. And I think, I mean, essentially it helps build interest to a title match by taking you to a time limit draw before, which is much like the Kyle O'Reilly program that John Moxley had, and adds a lot more drama to the countdown towards the end of one of these eliminator matches, whenever you're approaching like 15 minutes perhaps. So I'm excited to see how they play it out.
Gives this division a lot of legs when you have these new rules instituted.
It splits the leg into more legs?
Yes.
This is already one of the legs.
It's double jointed. So Alexander goes and cross faces him as they cite the tooth that got destroyed by Moxley at the pay-per-view. And
which he is of course not fixed yet.
No, as we cited. I don't know if he will get this fixed. Maybe you just leave it.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd love to.
And then Alexander goes to the knee and leg, which I hope John Moxley just, this injury and story never recovers. Like he just always has a bad leg for the rest of time, because it is the perfect story for every John Moxley match. No one sells a leg like this guy.
No, I mean, wrestlers like in terminal injuries are often a very good thing.
He is this generation's Bob Orton Jr. Uh-huh. So Alexander is destroying him, hits a gourd buster. This is amazing. Like he was on offense nonstop, and Josh is the one that gets cut over his eye. And then this just got bigger and bigger. He had like blood all over himself, and like Moxley's getting next to no offense in. So this felt like self-induced. Moxley finally catches him in a figure four, but leaves the foot open to get twisted by Josh, so he gets out. Traded these massive chops, and Alexander misses a moonsault off the top. And then there's a figure four around the post by Josh, and then he hits a bombs away knee drop onto the leg, wrenches on it, and gets caught in a choke. And it's just Moxley capitalizing on any little mistake that Josh leaves open. Elbows him from there, the headgear comes off, and then puts him in the choke again as Alexander has to tap in 15 minutes and 33 seconds. Just a great match. What a stretch for Jon Moxley this week to have these 3 matches in the course of 4 nights.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Great match. Great matchmaking, I thought. You know, Mox being booked against the heel here, again, is just further confirmation that his turn is complete. Even though on this very same show, I mean, the Death Riders are still facing other baby faces, and they're very much playing heel. So that is very interesting. I thought, like, Alexander was the perfect opponent because, I mean, he was able to play aggressor here against a prey who happens to have a weak body part that directly plays to his finisher. You know, having an ankle lock, like, just kind of makes him the perfect person here. And he had some great leg targeting offense that looked very, very technical, very aggressive, while Mox gets to continue to showcase his excellent selling, where he remains, like, I would say, very loud with the selling, but not over the top or cartoonish. I think is just really perfect. Even like details like stumbling over the top of the guardrail upon entrance to show that his ankle was injured. Like, even, you know, taking advantage of your entrance in order to basically, like, give your opponent the heat so that Alexander could just start the match right away on offense. I think he just continues to be so creative and innovative in these sort of matches that I think Moxley is like the hottest character right now in AEW, more so than any of the world title competitors, in my opinion.
Yeah, like this post All In Texas run of Jon Moxley has been super effective. And it's not like they just had this idea, hey, let's just turn him. It's been such a long, progressive story that forced him to go to these lows and lose to Darby and lose to Kyle and then go into the toughest tournament of the year. And you had made this guy, like, this guy went from the killer that was owning this entire company into, like, the most vulnerable in terms of, like, he is now, like, submission scared in all of his matches, and you've come out of this. Like, this could have just been like a cooling off of Jon Moxley, and it's anything but. He feels like he's maybe like your most interesting figure in this company going into the new year, which a year ago, I don't think people would have, like, that to me was like the lowest point of the Death Riders was this time, like, a year ago.
Yeah. And as a babyface like him with the Death Riders, I think having the Continental Championship is really the perfect thing for him because it prevents outside interference and really just leaves him in this sort of vulnerable state where he has to fend for himself and become a bigger babyface as a result for it. So I'm actually really looking forward to these, like, Continental title defenses for Moxley in a way that I'm way more excited than I ever was, I think, for any Okada defense.
Well, they introduce his next opponent because MVP walks out with Shelton Benjamin, and Moxley just limps away watching them. And later we would get the reaction from Moxley, and they will do another eliminator match with Moxley and Shelton next Wednesday.
Oh, man. Mox versus Shelton. Like, that's just awesome. That's, you know, have they wrestled? Not in AEW, I'm assuming, right?
I don't think they would have wrestled, period.
Yeah, Moxley. I gotta look this up. Moxley.
Unless it would have been like that 2016 period on SmackDown when Shelton came back.
Yeah, I'm not really seeing example, any sort of evidence of that.
Well, it's a good opponent for the Moxley story of, like, the leg and working it over.
Perfect.
So, yeah, that should be a fun match next week. Mm-hmm. Triangle of Madness promo with Julia Hart and Sky Blue, who are in sync. Sisters of Sin, we come for the win. Amazing. I think we should develop something like this.
I don't know if we have the coordination to
this is amazing. And then Tekla loves seeing Chris Statlander spit in Jamie Hayter's face. She should have watched Tetsuya Naito today. And she is now all alone and tells her to let them take her place and will make it really toxic.
Yeah. Yeah. So Tekla versus Statlander coming up. It's interesting how the only non-native English speaker is doing the bulk of the talking here, while the two Americans are reduced to like being robots. But, like, Tekla really is the best promo of them all. I feel like she's shown good comfort and personality in her delivery.
Yeah, Davey told us she can speak German.
Well, yeah, Davey could speak German too. Yes.
Ricochet and Jack Perry for the AEW national title. So this is This was as much about writing off Luchasaurus as it was the match. So Toa and Luchasaurus have a face-off, and Perry can't grab Ricochet by his non-existent hair, so he grabs him by the beard. And then Luchasaurus gets involved when Khan interferes, and Toa takes Luchasaurus to the back, just like they did at World's End, and they disappear for most of the match. It continues. Perry was... he took a Northern Lights and Brainbuster, comes back with a rebound lariat and tries for the knee strike, but Ricochet constantly rolls out of the ring. There's a tornado DDT off the top by Perry, gets his one big near fall, and goes for the knee strike, but is stopped by Khan from the floor, who grabs his boot, and Ricochet distracts the referee, leading to the Spirit Gun, and pins Jack Perry in 10 minutes and 20 seconds, allowing Toa to bring Luchasaurus back out, and they put a steel barricade over his injured arm, and Perry is taken out with another Spirit Gun from behind, and they repeatedly slam the barricade with a chair, and thus the end of Luchasaurus, who needed an arm amputation as a result of this attack.
These poor shoulders, really.
They're, you do have two of them, but you lose one, you lose both.
Hopefully this one isn't like too long, because it just feels like these two reunited, and they certainly haven't had their run yet towards the tag team championships. But at the same time, I think Jack Perry, coming off of the Continental Classic, maybe like an extended stay in the singles division isn't necessarily the worst thing for him, so we'll see what happens with these two.
Then Moxley addressed Shelton Benjamin, says he's easy to find, and Yuta refers to Darby and says, you got to go through me first to get the pack.
It's pretty fascinating because, again, like, you got a babyface here leading a group of heels, right? But in terms of promo, tonally for the Death Riders, the promo stayed the same. No matter if it's Moxley targeting heels or Yuta targeting babyfaces, right? In the end, they all are just talking about being the best and being here to prove it. So it somehow still works.
Willow was warming up with Harley Cameron, and then Renee interviewed MJF. He lists off all the people who want their title shot, but he's not worried. He's going to make his last title reign feel short. And Bandido comes in, and Brody King is in charge of the promo to build up maximum carnage, and shows off Bandido's ring. MJF is not impressed because he has many more of those. And King says that Bandido will win the Triple B, Bandido's big belt.
Yeah, I don't know if that one was necessary. But,
yeah.
But okay, it was kind of cute. Yeah,
it was an attempt. So
I thought we'd have a whole lot more feud based off of MJF maybe being upset that his streak for the ring was broken or something like that, or like maybe wanting to claim ownership for the ring. MJF doesn't give a shit about this Bandido ring at all.
Certainly didn't feel like that's anything at stake here. Even if I could see him, like, he just steals the ring at the end of the match.
Yeah, and why should he care? He's got the championship at this point. But like, they're not really making the ring any sort of like tie towards these two on a more significant level than just Bandido earning a title shot coming off of it.
How about instead of you can bring Abuela in 2 weeks, but is it more effective to have Abuela next week with MJF?
I think she should be there every week.
I would be all for this woman having a full-time role with Bandido.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a great connection. Collision on Saturday. This starts their month-long stay in Arlington at the Esports Arena. We're going to get Shelton Benjamin against Scorpio Sky, what an interesting trajectory Scorpio Sky's had over the number of years. Just pops up here and there. Darby Allin against Wheeler Yuta. El Clone will be on the show. And then Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa against Hyan and Maya World.
They said El Clone is debuting. I'm like, this guy's been around for like 6 months.
Yeah, he debuted, he got hurt. It's
like this is the other guy.
Hologram's been hurt. And they just shelved this guy.
El Clone's just been like hanging around and like doing nothing, I guess.
Well,
yeah.
I can't tell you. I don't know how many El Clone historians there are that are.
I mean, they really could have waited for Hologram to come back, I feel, at this point. But whatever.
Oh, there he was. I just saw him.
Yeah, the glitch.
And then Dynamite next week, you have the Lights Out match, Moxley and Benjamin, and they announced Jim Ross will be on the show because they're in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mercedes Moné.
Just like in thinking about, I guess, El Clone and Returns and Don Callis family, When do you expect Andrade?
I certainly didn't get the sense that because I thought for sure, like we did the deal last week where Omega said, I've got to go take care of something. And I guess that was more so the going after the title.
Right.
But the way I see it is like, it feels to me like Omega's not going to be an immediate match they go to. It's interesting. Like Andrade, first of all, when he does return, like what kind of reaction do you expect Andrade to get? Like, is he going to be received as a heel after this whole thing? Do you think he's more of like a sympathetic figure in this, or do you just go right back to your initial plan that you had for him in October?
I think you kind of have to. I think I don't necessarily think the real life, sort of like state of his contract is necessarily big enough to babyface him. Unless he comes out and cuts this like big promo like Sean Waltman style against the competition. I don't think he's going to do that. I think they're just going to pick up the storyline from where they left off.
Yeah, like there's obviously the unfinished angle with Kenny Omega that you did. If he's going to be with the Don Callis family, like I expect the Don Callis family to be involved with the Death Riders. Like you could certainly do a big Moxley Andrade match at some point, but
could be Kenny failing, to beat MJF or just even failing to earn a title shot, and then you break off to the Andrade feud. And he will be on New Year Dash. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Andrade was. Yes. They announced that Andrade will be on the show. They haven't announced the matches beyond the tag title match, but Andrade is sticking around for Dash, as is Takeshita.
Yeah. And Kenny Omega will be present for Tanahashi's.
That's right.
retirement.
That's right. We failed to mention that Ospreay and Omega are going there for the retirement ceremony.
Mm-hmm. So they might all be under one roof. Not that I think they'll have interaction necessarily there, but the possibility could be.
Who do we see on TV first? Andrade in AEW or Santos Escobar in WWE?
A clone.
Yeah, perhaps.
I don't know.
All right, Mercedes Moné, Willow Nightingale for the TBS title. And man, this crowd, they were so into this match. Moné goes right after her immediately, and they're so behind Willow, but there's chance of like, let's go Willow, CEO, and they're just clicking right from the get-go here. And Willow stops her with one of many Death Valley drivers in this match, hits her with the pounce, and then goes for the Babe with the powerbomb, but Moné lands on the ropes to stop the cover. And Willow misses a cannonball landing on the floor, and Moné goes for the three amigos on the floor with Willow stopping the last one, runs her into the apron, and then clears the desk and goes for a Babe with the powerbomb on the desk that Moné counters with a snap suplex that this table has got to be made out of granite.
Yeah.
This thing did not budge.
2025 is the year of the reinforced table.
After all these years, the tables are getting their revenge now. So Willow beats the count. This crowd is so happy that she makes it in. Into the statement maker she goes, but Willow gets to her feet. The moneymaker is blocked, rams Mercedes into the corner, and the Babe with the powerbomb gets blocked. And now it's Mercedes going for the leg cradle that she got caught with at the pay-per-view. And as she tries for a jackknife cover, Willow bridges out and into the Babe with the powerbomb that they had teased so many times. She hits it, wins in 15:23, and Excalibur's call. Yes! As she wins this, and this place went nuts. There's a confetti celebration. Harley Cameron is out. Orange Cassidy is out. Jet Speed are here. They're just here to take in the show. They come out as well. This match was great. This match was really, really solid. And then the closing scene was Chris Statlander in the ring. And days after spitting in one woman's face, she hugs Willow. And that's how we go off. This fractured friendship comes to a close at the end of 2025, and they're back to being friends.
Money solves everything. Gold solves everything. Championship solves everything. Okay, once you attain that, well, let's put the past in the past. I thought an excellent match, really, and I think a beautiful close to like what really feels like a spiritual end to this Mercedes Moné belt collector run. She still, of course, has the other championship belts, but this was the most important one. The one that I think really defined the entire run. And there's something really magnetic and really special about Willow, and I thought that was pretty evident throughout the course of this tag title tournament, where despite being on the less promoted side of the bracket, she still garnered some of the biggest reactions all tournament. And having her win the championship with Cameron was, I think, a great way to spotlight her. But it also now serves as a sort of like great misdirect to make people think that she wasn't going to win this singles title anytime soon, much less end a historic Mercedes Moné TBS title run, right? So for that reason, I love the booking here. It's a great surprise that rewards people who chose to watch on a New Year's Eve, for instance. It also tells people who missed it to catch the replay on HBO Max afterwards, because this was a very relevant edition of AEW Dynamite. And 3, it conveys the idea that, I mean, this is a company that doesn't take any off nights. You know, every edition of Dynamite could be very significant. WWE has been doing this sort of thing too, like with the Carmelo Hayes, Ilya Dragunov title change. So I've been loving that sort of booking. And I also think Willow in this case is a perfect choice to end Moné's run. You know, she's up now 2-1 against Moné all time, and I think that, you know, the rivalry only deepens as a result of this. I'm curious to know what it means for the tag title run, because you would have thought that, I mean, the tag titles were created to perhaps expand the division and give the division a bit more airtime. This kind of consolidates that airtime once again, right? You're either going to get a tag title defense or a TBS title defense. So how are they going to handle that? But I love the increased spotlight on Willow. I think she completely should have it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this show quite a lot. Like, this was as far removed from a just like they had the decision, like, we're gonna go live on New Year's Eve. I don't know if, like, you can certainly argue this is one of, if not the toughest nights of the year to run on. It's not like they did a big crowd, but man, was this crowd here to have a great time. They sounded great.
Me watching it, they sounded amazing.
They sounded tremendous, and like, it had this kind of like a Raw after Mania type of feel. Like, we just had this big pay-per-view, and then we're coming off, we're setting up all these challenges for MJF. We're playing off the mixed nuts match. Like, it was a fun show. You got a big title change. You got, I thought the main event was excellent. I thought Moxley, Josh Alexander was excellent. Like, this was just a really entertaining show. You got storylines. You got, like, everything you would want. This was just a really enjoyable 2-hour show that I thought really did not, it really did not drag. And yeah, to underscore it, like, you had a great crowd here in Omaha.
I really like the show. I loved it as a follow-up to World's End. Like, in the case for John Moxley, I thought this was a perfect follow-up match. I mean, you know, you got a very significant development here in a title match ending, or a title reign ending for Mercedes Moné. But I thought it set up Bandido well for your next challenge. It continued this Orange Cassidy, Toni Storm storyline, which I think has a lot of promise. So, and of course, it sets up MJF's feature programs, several of them, in fact. So I thought it was a very well-designed, wrestled show overall.
Let's go to the forum, and then at the end, we're going to take a quick look at the Wrestle Kingdom show coming up on Sunday and just go through that lineup. So Muggin writes that AEW capped off the year with a full circle main event that was a year and a half in the making. Mercedes Moné's TBS title reign began and ended with Willow Nightingale. Seeing her and Chris Statlander reunite as the two women's champions in AEW to build the roster around filled me with joy, so much so that I didn't mind the lack of follow-up on Okada Takeshita. The main event kept my attention. Yeah, I mean,
okay. That's worth mentioning. Yeah.
I was just more curious if they were going to do any kind of promotion of this Tanahashi retirement, but I was not surprised at the end of it all. But it was it is a very curious omission that this massive show is happening Sunday with your guy headlining in front of 45,000 people.
Yeah. Well, for one thing, I mean, Takeshita and Okada I'm assuming aren't there because they have commitments for Wrestle Kingdom. But yeah, did it at least deserve some mention? Maybe a Don Callis must be there too, right? Because he wasn't on.
Yeah, Callis wasn't on the show either, and they made it. They made that clear as well. Like, yeah, you would assume Callis is going to be there on Sunday as well.
My assumption is that you'll get something like shot next week, and I think that's when you'll probably get some mention of like, hey, Takeshita just did such and such, Okada just did such and such. But there's clearly a direction from AEW to not promote something ahead of time to maybe direct audiences' attentions away. Maybe it's even like something contractually they can't do because it's they might consider it a competing streaming service, for instance.
And even with as well, like if Takeshi's sticking around for Dash on Monday, like that's he could make it by Wednesday, but that's still like that's a
Give the man some rest.
I mean,
please.
It's like he's had to do the Okada match, has to fly to Japan, has to do back-to-back nights, and then you got to get to Tulsa by Wednesday. Yeah. It's like, maybe we can just wait till Phoenix.
All right, let's go to Brian, who says, enjoyable show with some very good story progression, mainly the world title picture. I thought Moné versus Willow had a tremendous match to cap off the year, and I was pleasantly surprised to see two title Nightingale come to fruition and the fence bandit with Statlander. Moxley versus Alexander and Bandido versus Beast were also standouts, and we still got intergender action on TBS. I'm bummed Luchasaurus looks to be going back to on the shelf, but at least both the Demand and Hurt Syndicate are feuding with new people and not each other from the looks of it. Also, Moxley going on his own path while the other Death Riders are still being jerks.
Yeah, I mean, that's by design. I think that's going to, I think you do want to have I think ultimately people can see a fracturing in the Death Riders, but is the timing now? I think that you want to extend this for some time first.
Yeah, they might be dragging this one out so that we don't expect, until a point where we're not expecting the turn coming.
Mm-hmm. Jomo is the last one here. I liked MJF's title win and setting him up as the new roster problem this year, and I really liked the setup of the Rogues Gallery. The show closed even better than it opened with a hot main event and title change. Before the show, I believed Mercedes would win, but the build within the show and setting it as the main event swayed me towards Willow, which made the celebration after her win seem big and earned. I thought on a night when they could have punted, AEW put on a top 10 Dynamite of the year with some rehashed mixed nuts, a clear and exciting direction for Max and the title, and a meaningful title change. I was actually into the tension left between Willow and Chris, but I think the hug tonight buried that story. Maybe that's for the better at this point. Did you catch any of the big Noah show? If so, why is Hiromu so much better in Noah than New Japan? I think because they've got a major role for him in he's been the centerpiece of the junior heavyweight division, and in New Japan, I think it's just they don't have any creative directions. I don't think the Shingo and Hiromu and company all leaving LIJ, and I don't think that's really been all that inspiring. And I think he's just he's been a player in New Japan for so long that he's sort of just assimilated into just being a guy on the roster, and he's kind of had the best of both worlds. It's like he hasn't had to leave New Japan to get this revitalization, but he's able to go moonlight in Noah, and it's night and day watching how important he felt on this huge card here that is going to be probably Noah's biggest attendance of the year. And he was in the number 2 match on the show, and he's going to be just another person on the Tokyo Dome show Sunday.
Do you think it could be possible that he could leave New Japan and join his former LIJ teammates?
I mean, nothing is impossible at that point. There is it would all depend, I think, on how much Noah would want him and what your relationship is between New Japan and Noah. At this point, he's working for both, but it's not always just okay, I'm being handled better here, but is this where I want to be? From a business perspective and spotlight wise, New Japan is still by leaps and bounds the number 1 company in the country. So there's that differentiator. But thank you for the feedback and for the questions.
He had a question about Willow and Statlander, and I feel I don't think they fully explored the mending of the fences storyline. It felt like they split apart. They kind of went off and did their own thing. Statlander turned back into a babyface, won the championship, and then now they're all good. Honestly, for me, it's I'm kind of tired of how long they dragged that whole thing out to begin with, that I'm not that upset by it.
What if they have a match to combine the legs?
Well then yes. Only to create a new championship just so that they can break it back up later on. Yeah, I don't know.
All I know is that if you and me had been fighting for a year and a half and we hadn't been on speaking terms, and then 5 nights before I watch you and you just spit in another guy's face, and then you appear all of a sudden out of nowhere, I'd be like, what's your motive here? Are you going to spit in my face too?
Sorry, what are you referencing?
When Statlander, she spit in Hater's face.
Oh, okay.
I was I don't know if I need to embrace you. You're kind of a scumbag.
I mean, spitting in somebody's, I didn't spit in your face. I'm spitting in somebody else's face.
Yeah, but I'm judging you.
My opponent.
As a character, your character.
Yeah, a little bit of spit doesn't hurt anybody.
You could. It's pretty gross. It's pretty disrespectful.
If you're diseased, I guess.
You could catch something. It is cold season as well. All right. Is that everything?
That is everything. Yeah, we got, well, let's talk about Wrestle Kingdom, shall we not?
So this is going down on Sunday morning, early Sunday. And of course, we'll have a broadcast window in Japan as well. This is an enormous success for New Japan for this night. I don't know when in New Japan's history we will ever be talking about a show of this magnitude for this company. And I would say, like, certainly to, I think, the ticket buying audience, to the wrestling audience, this is the Hiroshi Tanahashi show. I would say to the broadcasters, I would say Aaron Wolf is probably as important. Like, to me, he is the reason they are getting this spotlight on television. The fact that he is debuting on this, for many people, like Tanahashi and Okada, like whatever they do, it's going to work. It's going to be a tremendous, like, the match. I think people are going to be so emotional for this match. The ceremony will probably be incredible. I'm not too worried about that. This, Aaron Wolf and Evil, this could be a miracle or it could be a disaster. It could be, and I mean, it's a match that you have to be intrigued by because they have put so much onto Aaron Wolf here. And it has just been, instead of just keeping this guy hidden for all these months, and now we're going to finally see this guy who emerges from the New Japan dojo and all those sessions. I mean, what we have seen, maybe this guy's thinking like 4D chess playing, and this has all been a charade. This is all a mirage. And wait till you see the second coming of like Jun Akiyama, who's going to take to this industry like no other and is going to be the savior New Japan had coveted.
Could be, John. This could be the greatest worker.
He was selling Wolf tickets all these months.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. I do like, so I have very little expectation heading into this, but I do think like this will probably be a match that'll be very like well designed and well rehearsed to make him look good because they know how much pressure.
They should take every precaution possible. And again, like whatever your opinions are of the House of Torture, this is what a House of Torture is for. Like this is, I think, the structure of a match that will greatly benefit Aaron Wolf of having all the bells and whistles, run-ins. You can have people help Wolf. This is all about making Aaron Wolf look like a big force and a star to this audience. And it's a very tall task.
This, I mean, like, this is essentially a celebrity match, is it not? And we haven't seen.
It's a celebrity match, but the celebrity has to stay around and is not just coming in to draw. He is coming in to like help build this company, and it's the start of a career and not just a one night I'm doing pro wrestling.
Yeah. You know, but as far as celebrity matches go, we've seen WWE like promote plenty of these. They kind of have a pretty solid template down. I'm curious to see what if New Japan is able to maybe at least like, you know, like create bells and whistles that are just as satisfying, you know, for in this particular case, or if they will take it in a different direction and maybe, you know, not as much rely on bells and whistles, but rely on this man's pure athleticism. So let's see.
Does he win this match? And thus the title?
I think he has. I think he should. Don't you think?
I wouldn't be beating this guy. No.
Yeah, I think he should.
Yeah.
It's the open weight championship. I mean, what? You're going to make him like climb a mountain to win that? No.
He's going to be the modern day Willem Ruska. I guess he's going to come in. This will be the new judo division. Okay.
That would be wonderful. Yeah.
Only wins by Ippon. Of all the, like, listen, there's, you know, this card construction, it certainly is one that you can debate the roles of several people on this show, but I am as intrigued by this match as anything else on this show because there's the most to win and the most to lose from this match. Like, this is one where it's probably going to be the most debated and discussed afterwards, and it's the one that has the greatest chance of either success or failure. And I think a lot of people are not as high on the success rate of this, and thus there'll be a lot of people.
You just sold me on looking forward to this one.
I think this has been the discussion since this match has been announced. Like, this whole year has been the lead up to January 4th and this guy's debut, because they have so much invested in Aaron Wolf and the hope that here is someone that actually has some mainstream acclaim in Japan that they want to transfer over. And this is his first like public display of him transitioning to this industry.
That's a lot of pressure to put on like somebody just having their first match. I mean, I hope they're not thinking like, at least like in the next year that he could be that guy, you know, like that's a tall task for somebody.
Well, just going in order here, the lone pre-show match announces El Phantasmo, Chris Brooks for the World Television Championship with Brooks is just coming in for this. Like, they could easily do the title switch here if they so choose. I don't think this will probably be fine for the time it has. It'll probably
interesting special attraction. Like, they could have like plugged somebody from the roster, you know, to face Phantasmo, but they brought Chris Brooks in. I think it adds something a little bit more interesting. Yeah. Why do you think they went like cross promotion, inter-promotional for this?
I would assume that you're probably gonna like, if Chris Brooks goes over, then I think it tells you that like Brooks is gonna be doing like both companies.
Yeah, interesting.
The annual Rambo has a different twist on it this year, where it is for the never open weight 6-man tag titles, with Toru Yano, Yo, and Master Wato defending again, pretty much just to get everybody on this card. But this match is all about Kaisei Takechi, who they are hoping will give some kind of rub to Shota Umino and Yuya Uemura. Whether that will be the case,
he's the streamer. He's the
DDT wrestler / influencer that
Gotcha.
Has he had his first match almost 2 years ago, but he was technically this past year was his first like full year. Like, he's only had like a handful of matches, but he looks someone really that
good, right?
What people have seen, like he is. People made like the Logan Paul comparisons. I wouldn't say he's as far along as like Logan Paul, but he is someone that certainly is not coming into this like he's completely out of his depth or anything like that. And he's going to have the most attention in this match. The question is, how much attention can you cultivate in a match like this? And if, to me, Uemura and Umino, it's that to me is what they are hoping is going to be focused on here. But it's amazing to me that your main event of last year's Wrestle Kingdom, Zack Sabre Jr. and Shota Umino, are buried in this thing.
And what about your main event the year before that?
Which is what?
Sonata.
Oh, well, I mean, Sonata has earned his spot in a match like this. Like, this is exactly where Sonata should be in 2026.
Yeah.
But
so it's a Rambo. So if one person is eliminated, everybody is, right? The whole team.
Yes. Oscar and Yuto Ice are thrown into this with Clark Connors. Of course, as Fightful has reported, like, there's several of the War Dogs whose contracts are coming due. So that's going to be interesting as well, coming out of Dash as well. Like, who is staying, who is going. Saya Kamitani and Shuri, winner take all for the IWGP Women's title and the Strong Women's Championship. I don't think there's a prayer of Saya Kamitani losing this. This is not for her Stardom title. Regardless, I think that this should be a
legs
showcase.
Are coming together.
There are many legs to the various women's championships here. Not to say it's out of the question that Shuri could win this, but to me, this should be a spotlight for Saya Kamitani. This to me is promotional paid consideration for Stardom. That's what this 15 minutes is going to be, and I would want to showcase Saya Kamitani. They should just come out here and hopefully have a great match. The question will be, on a show like this, how much time are they going to get? Even on an 8-match show, really that's not indicative, because that ceremony with Tanahashi and Okada that's going to be its own beast on this show, and I do wonder how the undercard might suffer from that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. When you consider that, I mean, I like, what would you be happy with if this was what, like 12?
12 to me would be, I think people would be satisfied with that, even if it's like, this could be a Stardom main event, but you're not getting that level. So I would say 12 you would be happy with.
Well,
I think if you're under 10, you'd be getting some
I
complaints.
think you could accomplish a whole lot in 12, and,
Yeah,
and
you
especially
can.
at a higher pace, which you could expect these two to wrestle. I mean, I'm looking forward to this match, maybe like second or third most on this, probably third most on this entire card. But like, again, to me, it's a breakthrough moment for Saya Kamitani, and this is a huge part of it. So we'll see how well they do.
5-on-5, 10-man tag. It's David Finlay, Gabe Kidd, Drilla Maloney, Shingo Takagi, and Hiromu taking on the United Empire's Callum Newman, Great O'Khan, Hanare, Andrade El Idolo, and mystery partner X, who we do not have a silhouette of. Or we do, and...
he's not wearing a hat, nor does he have a broomstick or broom brush head.
Man, could this be the last mystery opponent we had a few weeks ago for El Phantasmo was Hartley Jackson. I mean, is this going to be a Hartley Jackson level surprise or a Tetsuya Naito level surprise?
Probably not a Tetsuya Naito level surprise. I do want to correct myself. Brian wants to correct me, and he should. Don Callis was actually present during Josh Alexander's entrance on Dynamite tonight. So,
I missed him. Okay.
So maybe he'll still be here in Japan. Maybe he won't be. We'll see.
All right.
Sorry,
yeah.
should I? I mean, I have to throw it in.
No, it's important to get all of that out there. This is going to be our violent 5-on-5 hardcore match. I guess it will be interesting to watch several of the figures here, whether it be Drilla Maloney, David Finlay, Gabe Kidd, all of the, like, those names specifically. You would get the sense that Andrade, like, we know he'll be around for Dash, but it would feel like this is not just like he's coming in for a one-off. And yeah, what you have of the United Empire, if you've been watching like the lead up to this, they are certainly, it feels like, getting Callum Newman into a spot to really rocket ship him. Hanare's coming back for this as well. That guy has been snake bit by a lot over these last couple of years. It would be nice to see him get like a real quality run because he's a real great talent, but he's just been marred by health issues. And that cage match where, my God, that guy just lost all that blood. I mean, he's had some health battles, but you've got Shingo in here. You've got the former GHC Junior Heavyweight Champion, one of 10 people in this match. Maybe Hiromu will be so inspired, but I don't know if Hiromu will be the focus of this match.
No. Yeah, this is a really interesting one just to kind of see like what the futures are like a month from now for maybe half of the participants involved. It just kind of feels like it's a match that like has a lot of interesting people, but like the most interesting people among them are people that kind of have half their foot out the door already for this company.
El Desperado, Kosei Fujita, Taiji Ishimori, and Sho in a number one contenders match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title because Doki doesn't want to wrestle at Wrestle Kingdom, so he's not. So we're going to have a number one contenders match at the biggest show of the year to set up a show. Like, at best, this will be a title match at New Beginning. And if not, it could end up being at Cork and Hall for all we know. Interesting. Yeah. I guess we will see what... I mean, you have the House of Torture representation here, so look out for the Black Mirror. I mean, Sho is teammates with Doki. I don't see them going that direction. This is probably... Like, I could see, like, Desperado's an easy one to go with, but I could see Fujita being the winner here. More of a fresh opponent, someone that they highlighted quite a bit in 2025, and I just like that as a more fresh opponent for Doki than going back to Desperado. Yeah. Desperado's in that place where I was like 5 years ago for Hiromu, where it's like, this guy's tremendous. He should be like wrestling with the heavyweights and doing a lot more than just going for his next junior heavyweight title run. Like, I feel there is a graduation process that is necessary, and we don't have to have these exclusive junior heavyweights for eternity.
This match doesn't look that interesting to me. I mean, I don't think the stakes are all that high. The showcase platform feels just odd for a setup match for a non.
This is a New Year Dash match.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
this would have been perfectly fine for New Year Dash, but
like it to me, it's a major step down. Like, but I'm sure the action will be tremendous.
We talked about Evil and Aaron Wolf, Takeshita and Yota Tsuji, winner take all for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship and the IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship. Cross those legs.
Yeah. Some interesting build heading into this one. I mean, so Suji, whether in character or out of character, has been very outspoken about, you know, the AEW relationship and how he doesn't necessarily think New Japan is benefiting that much from it. So that conversation point is being brought up again. Will be very interesting to hear.
That should be his character. Like, again, if the big match is Okada, like, this is like, that should be his character, is representing New Japan. That's his whole, like, if you've listened to all his promos, like, ever since Okada left, this guy has been playing that role about Okada didn't put people on the way out. And I think it's like, this is 100% this guy's character.
Will be very interesting to hear Chris Charlton's commentary for this one.
I imagine the unofficial main event. Is he going to be on a 7-second delay on this show?
Oh, I wonder. I don't know. I'm not sure. I imagine he'll be. Well, I'd love to see him weave that storyline in, but I also wonder if he'll be reserved in some way.
We will have Gabe Kidd and Kenny Omega under the same roof here with Chris Charlton at the Tokyo Dome.
That we will, yeah.
In all of these ones, you will always hear the argument of like, well, you know, the Cody one. It's like you prolong the chase, and it was great for business. I throw that out the window. This is the most eyes we have on New Japan. We are not getting these many. I don't care how great this year is for New Japan. Next year's Wrestle Kingdom, I don't feel is going to be as big as this one, okay? Or at least I have a pretty solid confidence in that. Pull the trigger now. This is Suji winning on a major show. Coming out of this show, he is our future. And more importantly, I am so adamant that you need to do something either on this show or at Dash where it is Suji and Okada, that you at least hint that is the match that Suji wants, and that is the match we should be building to a year from now. Don't have to announce it, but that should be like the specter of our whole year is about Suji getting Okada at the Tokyo Dome next year. I put the title on him in this match. Hopefully they have a great match. You have arguably the best wrestler in the world to have the best match on this show with. So this is also very high stakes as well, and I would be pulling the trigger on Suji on this one.
You know, one of the arguments I think with this like era of New Japan is that they've waited too long on building these young lions.
Yes.
And they're already, I think, way past due with Yota Tsuji. That like a failure on this evening, I think would be catastrophic. Okay.
I'm screaming for a discourse of people online saying it was too soon. It was too soon to put the title on this guy. I'm praying for that discourse. It's so necessary.
If they want to do the year-long story, I mean, I think what you laid out is perfect. You know, have Okada beat Tanahashi, have Okada kill the ace, and have Yota Tsuji just for the entire year talk about wanting to redeem, you know, the memory of the former ace of the company by beating Kazuchika Okada. I think that would be wonderful. Like certainly on the platform like this, there's no better place to crown him. And I mean, I don't expect Takeshita to be so active in the coming year, you know, at least to justify another year-long build towards a rematch like this. Nor do I think there's, maybe to me, that there doesn't seem to be nearly as much interest as a Suji versus Okada, for instance. So I hope this is a great match, you know, for both their sakes. I hope it's a wonderful.
I can't imagine this disappointing. Like this is like even at half speed, I think these guys are in for, you know, 4 1/4. This one could be. It could be really, really excellent. The only handicap they will have is that you're going to have a crowd that has probably sat through a lot, and you've got the big match coming up next. But I think just bell to bell, I'm not too concerned about this one. But
more legs coming together.
As many legs as we can put together on one match graphic. And then Tanahashi and Okada, which is probably going to be... you know, this is going to be a total spectacle. And I think the goal would be like Naito Muta of 2023 to like replicate that level of emotion. And I think like, again, this match, is it going to be the best Tanahashi Okada match you've ever seen? No, it's not. But is it going to be one that is going to leave you with like some emotional resonance by the end of it? I have no doubt that by the end of that ceremony, no one is going to forget about this retirement match for Hiroshi Tanahashi. And I think Okada wins this one. And I think he just walks out. I wouldn't even have him shake Tanahashi's hand. I think I came to do a job. I did the job. I leave. And then you do the ceremony. And that final moment, it's Tanahashi, who you know is going to cry. Okay. This guy is like second only to Ric Flair when it comes to producing those tears. And Yota Tsuji is there in the ring, embraces his mentor, and promises, I will bring you the head of Okada.
Ooh, love it.
Fade to black.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's Wrestle Kingdom 21.
That would be wonderful storytelling, I think. Like I think a vulnerable Hiroshi Tanahashi is really the best Hiroshi Tanahashi, and I think like no matter how limited his physical ability is, as long as he has that appeal attached to him, as long as he has that ability to sell the way he does, I think this match is going to be excellent. I think this match is going to be tremendous. I'm expecting one of the best performances, at least from a storytelling perspective, that you may be able to see from Hiroshi Tanahashi. This is his final match. I think they're going to really have a
just
really
think
great
of the
effort.
idea of these guys like swapping, like Tanahashi trying a Rainmaker. Like, you are going to throw everything out in this match. You're going to have a crowd going apeshit for this entire thing, and like Tanahashi is as sharp as ever when it comes to this guy got through 2025 a whole lot better than we anticipated going in, where, the last couple of years, it's been a real struggle for this guy, but he turned it up this year, and you don't have to work New Year's Dash. You don't have another tour coming up. This is it. This is going to be your last show, and it's the biggest show that New Japan has produced in his entire life. Like, 1999, he starts, and this is the biggest show New Japan has had during that time span. And this is the guy that is going to I am with you. I do not think this is as foregone a conclusion that this is going to be a really satisfying just presentation match. The crowd's going to be electric. And then the ceremony afterwards is going to be probably very special too.
Every time he goes up for one of those high fly flows, I think this crowd will be incredibly energetic. Every time he misses a high fly flow, this crowd will explode. And then every time he goes back up to try another high fly flow, I think the drama will just be actually completely wonderful. That's my expectation. And of course, you have Okada, who we have seen is still an incredibly capable performer. So especially in the Tokyo Dome, in the main event, in a long drawn out match, which I'm expecting this to go. How long do you expect this one to be?
Just the match itself, not like all the post match stuff. 30, like at least 30.
Yeah, me too.
I think so.
Me too.
Yeah. So, all right. I'm looking forward to the show quite a lot. Like, I've been, I would say top.
You hyped me up. I wasn't necessarily beyond.
Listen, top to bottom, this is not the strongest Wrestle Kingdom card. It's far from it. But in terms of stuff that is this is a very important show, because if they whiff on several key guys, that to me is going to hurt them in 2026. This is a show that, yes, it's farewell to Tanahashi, but it's as important to be, hey, here are all the other things, okay, that we have in store for you. This is why you should come back to New Japan and follow up and continue, because we have this incredible rise. There's a lot of interesting people on this roster that you've been developing, but you need to put that to action. It's the booking that has been, rightly criticized for a lot, and slow rolling things. And you've seen changes to that with Oscar and Yuto Ice, who I think would have been much more them taking on Umino and Uemura would have been, to me, a match that would have been a big match to have on this show, as opposed to Oscar and Yuto taking on Zack and Oiwa the next night in front of a fraction of the people. But will be.
So they are promoting Omega and Ospreay being there for the ceremony as well. Well, I mean,
I'm sure you're going to get a lot of appearances by different figures. Maybe Liger comes out, tells him, "Hey, career's never fully over.
I'm back."
Okay.
Yeah, I got a match lined up for you against Joey Janela.
Yeah, spring break, Saudi Arabia. Tanahashi comes out of retirement. So there you go. We will be back on Friday evening for Rewind to SmackDown. What time will we be going live at on Friday night, Way?
Oh, man. I'm guessing 11:05, 11:10, something like that. I'm so sorry, John.
It's okay. We're going to get through this. This is going to be me. I'm going to be the Hiroshi Tanahashi of podcasting, going through, and these are my bad knees on Friday nights that I'm going to have to work smart, not hard. So we will be back Friday night. And then we've got Collision Course Saturday with Kate from Montreal, with the start of the Texas residency.
And John
Sunday,
Kleinchester.
John Kleinchester will be with Kate. And then Sunday, we're going to be hitting the doubleheader of Wrestle Kingdom reviews.
Yeah. John and I will be doing a reaction podcast, not necessarily going into maybe detail move for move as much, but really just kind of giving our thoughts on Wrestle Kingdom itself. That'll be exclusive for Post Wrestling Cafe members. On the free feed, we are showcasing our our new aces here, or at least I should say present aces in the New Japan Pro Wrestling reviews on Post Wrestling with Bruce Lord, Karen Peterson. They're going to be on the free feed talking to you, wider audience, with a much more play-by-play, move-by-move recap of Wrestle Kingdom, along with their very detailed thoughts.
All right. It's a new year, 2026, here at postwrestling.com. You've got an interview with Dave Meltzer, book club, Rewind-A-Dynamite in the books. Lots to come this year at postwrestling.com. Again, sign up this month for the Post Wrestling Cafe, locking your price for the entire year if you sign up before February the 1st, when the price increase goes into effect. And these are all the shows you will have access to as a Cafe member, from Wrestle Kingdom coverage this weekend, our Royal Rumble watch-alongs that are coming up next week, an Okada-Tanahashi retrospective where we will look at several of their biggest matches, Impact on AMC, TNA Genesis, UFC 324, and the best and worst of 2025. All Post-Wrestling Cafe exclusives this month here at the site.
A very busy month. Very busy month. I'm very excited. I mean, we are announcing a price increase, but we work very, very, very tirelessly to justify it. So, support us, postwrestlingcafe.com.
All right. Happy New Year to everybody, and we'll speak with you later this week.